Am I frozen or
No, I think you're
am I
good now.
back up?
You're good.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead then. Call the roll.
Okay, Governor Barnhill,
Here.
Governor Bozzuto,
Here.
Governor Gaffney,
Here.
Governor Kelly,
Here.
Governor Kumar,
Here.
Governor Land,
Here.
Governor Stancato,
Here.
Governor Thompson.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Right. Well, let's off by welcoming you who are joining us virtually for this public meeting of the Board of Governors. Unfortunately, as in past several ones, we're doing virtually, but I do think that things are beginning to improve, and hopefully soon we'll be able to meet. Background noise from someone's phone.
Could I ask anyone who's not speaking to please mute their mics?
Great, thank you. So the first item on our agenda is approval of the consent agenda. I'd like to ask the Board of Governors approve the consent agenda as presented. These are as follows. Approval of the official proceedings of March 12th, 2021. Establishment of a new online program in Masters of Arts in Environmental Science, that came from Academic Affairs. Establishment of a new program for the Master of Science in Dietetics, also from Academic Affairs. Extending suspension of WSUCA 2.34.09.020, which is the admissions test requirements. Then next is the 400 Mack Avenue, authorize the president or his designee to contract for the renovation of the west wing of the second floor, the 400 Mack building, from office space into outpatient exam room space for project not to exceed $2.5 million. And then parking structure 1 repairs, authorize the president or his designee to execute contracts for the construction phase of repairs to parking structure 1, spending up to $1.3 million to conduct repairs. Funding will be provided from deferred maintenance. And then the Scott Hall vivarium updates from Budget and Finance authorizes the president or his designee to approve spending to design, solicit bids, and award contracts to make improvements to the Scott Hall vivarium for project costs not to exceed $7 million. Funding for this project will be provided from the Deferred Maintenance, Department of Research, School of Medicine, and Strategic Initiative funds. So a combination of funding there. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion.
Okay, I'm not sure who did. Julie, did you catch that?
Governor Barnhill moving and Governor Kumar supporting.
Okay, so we've got a proper movement on this with a proper second. Maybe I just ask if anyone is opposed, if you could signal by your hand or say nay. Right. I'll assume then that all for and it passes. We have a separate item. It's a personnel action item. And we'd like to present this for approval. Provost Claiborne submitted 2 recommendations, which you have before you. The first is for senior administrative appointment. This one is asking for authorization to appoint Brian D. Cummings as Dean of the Eugene Applebaum College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, effective July 1st, 2021. I think you've got the, we sent that information to you previously about his background and discussed it. And so is there a motion to approve this appointment?
Yes, I'll move the appointment of Dr. Cummings.
Great,
Support.
thank you. And it was, did you catch the person who supported, Julie?
I believe it was Governor Thompson.
Okay, thank you, Governor Thompson. again, I'm gonna ask for the same thing. If anyone wants to vote against,
Mr.
please
President,
signify by raising.
I'd appreciate it if we'd have a motion, if you'd take a vote on it rather than just ask who doesn't approve.
Okay, it's just sometimes easier because of the way these meetings are virtually. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, I heard a lot of ayes. Can anyone in disapprove? Okay, we have a unanimous. Thank you. Second
Governor, I'm
action.
sorry, President Wilson, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Provost Claybo, is the appointment date August 1st or July 1st? I think our document might be incorrect. I just want
His appointment date is August 1st.
August 1st. So I just want to make the record correct that he
Okay.
begins August 1st. Sorry about that.
So that approval is with the proviso that it's August 1st rather than July 1st. The second action is the approval of the remaining personnel actions as detailed in the document that's before you. So is there a motion to approve the remaining personnel recommendations?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, I got a motion and a support. Julie, did you get the?
I did. Governor Land
Okay.
moved and Governor Thompson supported.
Okay, great. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I see a bunch of people raising their hands also. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. So we'll move on into the next part of the agenda, which is the Governance Faculty Recognition Awards. And each year in May, the board has the opportunity to recognize faculty who have been selected as recipients of the board's Faculty Recognition Awards. Usually the faculty members are here with us in person, where they receive a citation and a plaque in recognition of their accomplishments. This year, as we did last year with our virtual format, our faculty awardees are watching the meeting on live stream. And I will ask members of the board to read the citations outlining the project for which the faculty members are being recognized. We're proud of our faculty and for the many ways that they add to scholarship in their respective fields. So let's begin with Governor Stancato, who will read the citation for Professor Natalie Bakopoulos of the Department of English in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences.
Thank you. Yes. The Board of Governors recognizes Natalie Bakopoulos, Assistant Professor of English in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, for the publication of her novel, Scorpionfish. In her second novel, Scorpionfish, Professor Bakopoulos crafts a complex portrait of a burgeoning relationship set against the backdrop of personal and political crises. Exploring how ordinary people grapple with the challenges of their own lives alongside broader political and social challenges in the wider world, Scorpionfish deftly melds the deeply personal with the political to create a book that explores grief, love, and identity in the contemporary world. It has earned warm reviews from Publishers Weekly, the New York Review of Books, Book Page, the New Republic, the New York Times Book Review, and Adroit Journal, and was named one of the best books of 2020 by NPR. Not only has the novel high acclaim, but Professor Bakopoulos works hard to integrate the skills that make her such a talented novelist into her classroom practice. She has translated her experiences of writing pieces, such as Scorpionfish, into her courses in the creative writing program in the English department to the direct benefit of our students. The Board of Governors is pleased to recognize Natalie Bakopoulos for her contributions to Wayne State University and the Department of English.
Let me also add my congratulations. And after hearing Governor Stancato's excellent pronunciation of your last name, I realize that I may have botched it a little bit, so please excuse me for that. But congratulations. Next, Governor Anil Kumar will read the citation for Professor Susan Davis of the Pharmacy Practice Program, Eugene Applebaum College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Board of Governors recognizes Susan Davis, Clinical Professor of Department of Pharmacy Practice in the Eugene Applebaum College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, for her work on the National Institute of Health's COVID-19 Treatment Guidelines panel led by Dr. Anthony Fauci. The COVID-19 Treatment Guidelines panel was charged with the urgent task of providing up-to-date information to clinicians about the treatment of patients with COVID-19. Because of the rapidly changing nature of the pandemic, the full set of guidelines is a living document that continually incorporates the latest evidence-based treatment options for clinicians on the front line. One of only 6 pharmacists selected to serve on the panel, this position is a recognition of her national leadership and expertise in the field of pharmacy practice. Her role as a lead author of these important national guidelines has not only contributed to the health and well-being of all Americans, but has also changed the way pharmacists are viewed by healthcare providers. The Board of Governors is pleased to recognize Susan Davis for her contributions to Wayne State University and the Department of Pharmacy Practice. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. Next, Governor Marilyn Kelly will read the citation for Professor Donovan Hone in the Department of English in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences.
The Board of Governors recognizes Donovan Hahn, Associate Professor of English in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, for his volume of creative nonfiction, The Inner Coast, published in 2020. These essays are about the Midwestern coast of the Great Lakes region and inner geographies. They explore the interlocking questions of memory and place, moving between interior and exterior landscapes in a reflective, trenchant, and eloquent voice. His combination of journalism and its commitment to facts with tools of fiction writing allow for an expanded range of emotional and literary expression. The essays constituting The Inner Coast are grounded in a profound sense of place and ponder the connections of the ever-increasing complexity between literature, science, history, and geography. His lyricism and meditation about the natural world illuminate what is most enduringly human about the narrator. I particularly like the chapter on ice canoe races in Quebec. As a group, Professor Hahn's essays are engaging, thoughtful, and marked by his boundless curiosity and sparkling wit. And I'd add that Professor Hahn's teaching is also excellent. The Board of Governors is pleased to recognize Professor Donovan Hahn for his contributions to Wayne State University and its Department of English.
Thank you, Governor Kelly, and congratulations, Professor Hahn. Next, Governor Mark Gaffney will read the citation for Professor Karen Marrero in the Department of History in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences.
Thank you. The Board of Governors is pleased to recognize Karen Marrero, Assistant Professor in Department of History, College of Arts and Sciences. She is recognized for her work, a book entitled Detroit's Hidden Channels, The Power of French and Indigenous Families in the 18th Century. This book offers a meticulous and sophisticated analysis of Detroit's founding era, a time when French, English, and indigenous groups fought, bargained, and ultimately settled side by side as Detroit transformed from a small military station to an increasingly important border city. Using sources in multiple languages, Marrero brings to life the multi-layered, multiracial networks that built and grew Detroit's imperial outpost. In her book, she places women and indigenous peoples whose stories are often marginalized at the center of Detroit's early history. In the process, Professor Marrero reframes our understanding of Detroit's regional and historical development. Professor Karen Marrero, thank you for your contributions to Wayne State University, the Department of History, and to our understanding of our own history.
Thank you, Governor Gaffney, and congratulations, Professor. And lastly, Governor Michael Busuttil will read the citation for Professor Joseph Roche of the Physical Therapy Program in the Eugene Applebaum College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences.
The Board of Governors recognizes Dr. Joseph Roche, Associate Professor of the Department of Physical Therapy in the Eugene Applebaum College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, for his work in the research areas of regenerative muscle biology and pharmacology. He is a physical therapist and researcher whose main scholarship focuses primarily on how skeletal muscle responds and adapts to the pathological mechanisms underlying muscular dystrophies. During 2020, Dr. Roche and his wife, Dr. Renuka Roche, developed a bradykinin for COVID-19 complications. Early in 2020, he hypothesized that established treatments for increasing bradykinin levels using ACE inhibitors might also alleviate certain symptoms of COVID-19. In May 2020, the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology journal published the article by Dr. Joseph Roche and Dr. Renuka Roche titled "A Hypothesized Role for Dysregulated Bradykinin Signaling in COVID-19 Respiratory Complications." Additionally, Dr. Roche presented a virtual talk on his research regarding muscle and COVID-19 at the National Institutes of Health at the invitation of Dr. Joshua Zimmerberg. Dr. Roche's article has already been highly cited and has received attention in some of the most prestigious journals in the field. In a year when the whole world is dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, it is particularly fitting to recognize Dr. Roche's research and contribution to his field, and particularly as it relates to the challenges of COVID-19. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Governor Busuttil, and congratulations to all of our award winners. Again, we regret that we weren't able to do this in person. Certainly, you deserve that. Certainly, as the pandemic recedes, sometime in the fall, we hope to be able to put a little reception together to honor you in person and allow the board members to get a chance to meet you. You're all just great faculty. So that'll be for the award winners, not only this year, but last year. And so we look forward to having that opportunity. I'll move on then to the president's report, and I'll plan to keep my report fairly short as we have a fairly long board agenda today. First, just a little update on the COVID-19. The Campus Health Center continues to administer the vaccines to faculty, staff, and students. And like other distributors of vaccine, they're beginning to reach the point where they've reached the point where supply is outstripping demand. And we'd like to see a greater numbers vaccinated on campus, which would be helpful in facilitating a full return to campus in the fall. The suspension of in-person activities that we put in place in April remains in place because positivity rates, not so much on campus, but in the city of Detroit, even though it's plateaued, it's really plateaued at a very high level, and a level that's higher than bigger metrics that we have established pre-established. And so it's we're hoping that comes down, and it looks like it is coming down. So so maybe soon we'll be able to start some very phased in opening. The suspension of most on-campus activities will continue until these rates fall below our trigger metrics. And we continue with the robust testing plan at the Campus Health Center. So it's not just the vaccine, but continued testing is also very important. And so we're doing that also. We've had two recent town halls, mainly to continue to communicate with our campus community. They were both held this month. And the first was a town hall meeting with Governor Kelly and I hosting the kickoff for the planning process for our strategic plan. We had an opportunity to provide an overview of the plan, which began, as you know, with a board retreat, and will include input and feedback from the campus community through the remainder of 2021, with plans for the board to consider and adopt a plan at its December 2021 board meeting, so that we can start off the new year with a new strategic plan. The second town hall was held with our campus athletics coaches and trainers, and its focus was to provide information and answer questions related to the COVID vaccines. Our student athletes sometimes have specialized issues related to their competition, and there were a lot of questions that they had, as well as the coaches, and so that one was, I think, very well received in terms of the information they were able to receive. Just want to mention that recently TechTown Detroit became one of only 44 organizations across the country awarded an Economic Development Administration Scaling Pandemic Resilience through Innovation and Technology Challenge grants called Sprint. The Sprint Challenge is designed to harness America's entrepreneurial potential to address economic, health, and safety risks caused by the COVID-19 pandemic through entrepreneurship and innovation. The grant, totaling $545,600, will be used to support and run Detroit Urban Solutions Civic Studios and allow the Detroit Urban Solutions to scale and amplify its work through community engagement, communications, and branding strategies. It also will allow for implementing tangible projects that will result in new and existing startups being able to use innovative ideas and strategically collaborate with a wide array of organizations to address issues and problems caused by the pandemic, both by connecting communities to immediately available resources and creating solutions to longer-term issues. I'm going to turn to athletics and just mention some highlights, and then I'll end with a resolution. For the first time in the past 11 years, the annual winner of the conference's top academic awards for both men and women were from the same institution. Wayne State's Teresa Deal, she's in track and cross country, and Lane Potter, he's in football, and he graduated in three and a half years, by the way. They were both selected as the recipients of the 2020-2021 GLIAC Pat Ripma Postgraduate Scholarship. The honor awards each recipient, one male and one female, $5,000 in aid to the graduate school of their choice. Women's basketball student athlete Anna Ristoffer, not sure I pronounced that. I see that name all the time because I used to watch women's basketball all the time, and she was really good. But I think it's Ristoffer, has been chosen by the NCAA to receive the Division II Degree Completion Award. The award provides a deserving student athlete financial assistance to help them to complete their first baccalaureate degree. And then student athlete Dom Spicer was voted GLIAC Men's Tennis Freshman of the Year. And Wayne State University, along with the Detroit Sports Commission, will be hosting the 2021 NCAA Division II Women's Golf National Championships at TPC in Dearborn from May 11th to the 15th. And then finally, from athletics, our longtime head softball coach, Gary Bryce, will be retiring this year. And I have a resolution recognizing Coach Bryce that I would like to read into the record at this time. So here's the resolution. Whereas Gary Bryce has been the head football coach at Wayne State University, head softball coach at Wayne State University since 1982, and is retiring after the 2021 season. And whereas Coach Bryce is currently the 6th all-time winningest softball head coach among all 3 NCAA divisions, 1, 2, and 3, and whereas Coach Bryce has coached Warrior softball teams to 23 separate NCAA postseason appearances, including 3 appearances in the College World Series, and won 21 GLIAC regular season or tournament championships. And whereas he has coached 41 All-Americans and 12 academic All-Americans. And whereas in 2008, Coach Bryce was inducted into the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association Hall of Fame and was honored 10 times as the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Coach of the Year. Wow. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Wayne State University, on behalf of its Board of Governors, President Wilson, faculty, staff, and students, honors and acknowledges Coach Gary Bryce for his dedicated service, adherence to the highest ideals of sportsmanship, and unwavering commitment to the success and achievement of the student athletes of the Wayne State University softball program for 40 years. That concludes my report. Congratulations, Mr. Bryce. You really do us a lot of honor. Okay, let me move on then. So next we have a special topic report. This as we've been doing over the past year, we pick a topic related to our 2016-2021 strategic plan and try to update the board. And today's topic is on teaching excellence. I'll call on Provost Clabo.
Oops. Hello, I'm sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Terrific. So as President Wilson said, today we're going to talk about our efforts on the strategic plan, the distinctively Wayne strategic plan of 2016 to 2021, specifically with regard to the focus area related to teaching excellence. Today I'm going to talk about this progress under our 4 identified goals. But before I begin, I want to especially acknowledge that this work represents the achievements of hundreds and hundreds of faculty, staff, and students across our campus. And I want to particularly call out Dr. Sarah Kaysen, the director of our Office of Teaching and Learning, and Dr. Kathy Barrett, the director of program assessment. So in this focus area, the plan identified 4 goals. The first, to enhance a culture that values teaching excellence. The second, to identify and encourage the adoption of best teaching practices and the improved delivery of learning outcomes campus-wide through the use of data. The last 2, to improve the quality of faculty-student relationships, both within the classroom and beyond. And finally, to improve graduate student training and mentoring. I have a little description of some of the activities under each of these goals, and I'll provide just a bit of detail on a couple. One example, under Goal 1, the university has been awarded an NSF grant that is titled Student Success Through Evidence-Based Pedagogies, which has supported teaching excellence, the development and awarding of excellent teaching. And additionally, we held a teaching conference at Wayne State entitled Conversations About Teaching, Lessons Learned, and the Future Envisioned. We established the Academy of Teachers at Wayne in 2018. We've had our first 3 classes inducted into the Academy of Teachers, and we currently have 12 members of the Academy. We also annually host Warrior Teaching Week, where we highlight teaching excellence in a variety of areas. There are also a number of college-wide annual teaching awards and many others that are given at the individual school or college level. Under the goal of identifying and encouraging the adoption of best teaching practices through the delivery of learning outcomes campus-wide, we've done a number of things. Certainly, university-wide measure of learning outcomes happens annually through our program review process. The Assessment Office and the Office of Teaching and Learning hold training regularly around aligning assessment and course delivery with learning outcomes. The Office of Teaching and Learning hosts something called course design sprints, which focus on aligning course delivery with selected learning outcomes. We've also adopted some new technologies that facilitate student engagement. And this year, a new Teach Anywhere website was developed to disseminate best practices. Under the goal of improving faculty-student relationships, both within and outside of the classroom, the use of our mid-semester assessment program, which is a very interesting opportunity for faculty to get feedback on the success of their teaching, not at the end of a course, but at mid-semester in partnership with the Office of Teaching and Learning. And each year we continue to see the number of mid-semester assessments increase. One faculty member described, "This is so helpful." While I think it's important to get end of semester feedback from students, having the ability to communicate about how the course is going in the middle of things is a really wonderful opportunity for instructors. Additionally, we have student panels for faculty that are hosted by the Office of Teaching and Learning that allow students to share their perspectives on what they see as constituting inclusive classroom policies. The Office of Teaching and Learning hosts bi-weekly virtual brown bags. They're currently focused, obviously, on classroom engagement in a remote environment. And we participate in the Collaborative Online International Learning, or COIL effort, which is underway to increase access to global experiences for students. Oops. Here you see some of the data related to our progress under Goal 3. And we talked about the mid-semester assessment program. I think it's particularly important to look at the number of students, which represented by this orange line, the number of students impacted by faculty choosing to participate in the mid-semester assessment program. And that number has risen from about 25 students in our first efforts in 2014 to more than 16,000 students in 2019-20. You also see the number of learning outcome submissions in our assessment program, and the quality of those assessments continues to improve over time. Finally, the last goal is to improve graduate student training and mentoring. And this is a particularly important focus given the role our graduate students play in teaching. A new course, GS 7900, was developed. It is called the Introduction to College Teaching and Learning, and it is available to all graduate students. The Office of Teaching and Learning hosts a graduate student writing retreat monthly. The Office of Teaching and Learning provides micro-teaching feedback sessions to improve instruction by graduate teaching assistants. There is an ongoing graduate and postdoctoral professional development series and a graduate research symposium. And I'd be remiss if we close today without talking a little bit about activities in the last year, those in response to the pandemic. You've had an opportunity to see this slide in advance, but I do want to mention particularly the number of faculty volunteers, more than 50 faculty who stepped up to support their colleagues by sharing their course online, participating in webinars, serving as peer coaches for other faculty. And the other thing I'd like to highlight is the number of visits to the Teach Anywhere website, 3,393 visits, along with an additional 1,121 hits to the Office of Teaching and Learning homepage. OTL and our faculty have been exceptional in facilitating a successful transition to online learning during the pandemic. And with that, I will unshare my screen.
Yeah, I'd like to just make a comment, if I may, Dean Clabo. I was the recipient of some of these services this year as a teacher, and I can tell you how really helpful it was to me. Because during the pandemic, when we were teaching virtually, it was a different ballgame, and we needed skills we had never developed over the years as teachers. My colleagues in the law school reached out and helped me learn how to teach online. And then the Office of Teaching and Learning reached out, got me into one of those mid-semester assessment programs. And when the students had done their assessment, these staff sat down with me and helped me figure out how to use that assessment and gave me concrete suggestions on how I can improve my teaching. So I really, I want to applaud all these efforts that you've discussed.
Thank you, Governor Kelly. We'll make sure we pass that along. You know, one of the critiques often of research-intensive university is that we don't pay enough attention to teaching. And one of the things that makes me very proud to be at Wayne State is the importance we put on excellent teaching and the supports we've put around the faculty to be able to do so.
Thank you very much, Provost Clabo.
I just had, I did have one question. Thank you. It seems like there are just so many rich resources for our faculty and students. So thank you for sharing this with us. You know, over the course of the year, obviously with challenging social events, dealing with issues of racial injustice and inequity, these issues probably come up in the classroom. And I wanted to know if there was particular programming for faculty on facilitating these conversations in the classroom.
Thanks for asking that question, Governor Thompson. Actually, the Office of Multicultural Student Engagement and the Office of Teaching and Learning partnered to provide resources for faculty to develop their comfort in being able to have those kinds of dialogues and discussion. And they were particularly timely in their development, so that in the early days following, for example, the George Floyd murder, faculty were armed with a toolkit to be able to facilitate those discussions in their virtual classrooms.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on, 3 of the board's standing committees met this morning, and I'll call on each of the committee chairs for a brief report. First, it was the Academic Affairs Committee, chaired by Governor Gaffney.
Thank you, President Wilson. The Academic Affairs Committee met this morning, considered 3 recommendations, including the establishment of 2 new master's programs, one in dietetics and one in environmental science. The committee also approved an extension of the suspension in the board statute regarding admissions test requirements. These 3 recommendations were part of the consent agenda. Briefly, we will not use for fall of 2022 ACT and SAT testing scores in our determination of admitting new students. The other thing of note, the Master's in Environmental Science degree that's established will be completely online and available nationwide, if not worldwide. The committee also received 2 informational reports. First, the annual report on course material fees, which are assessed for specific classes. The second report was presented by Associate Vice President Ahmed Ezzedine on global engagement in an online environment. Mr. Ezzedine discussed international fellowships for both students and faculty, cultural exchange programs, and the outreach the university performs to prospective international.
Thank you very much, Governor Gaffney. I didn't hear the last part, but I assume you're done. I think you're frozen. So next would be the Budget and Finance Finance Committee met under the leadership of Governor Barnhill.
Okay, thank you, President Wilson. The Budget and Finance Committee met this morning, and we considered 5 action items and heard 3 informational reports from the administration. The action items, 3 of which are actually part of the consent agenda heard earlier during this meeting, including funding for the renovation at 400 Mac to create additional clinical space, funding for needed repairs of parking structure 1, and expansion of the updates to the Scott Hall Vivarium, which are critical to bringing the vivarium up to current design standards, improving environmental controls, and other aspects of its daily operations. The committee also received informational reports on purchasing exceptions and an update on major capital progress and their progress to completion. 2 items on the Budget and Finance agenda need action by the full board. And they will come forward at the appropriate time. Those are the dining rates and the School of Medicine tuition rates.
Thank you, Governor Barnhill. We'll go ahead and take those up now. So first we'll take up the fiscal year 2021-22 proposed housing and residential life, room, and board rates. So can I get a motion that the Board of Governors approve the fiscal year 2021-22 proposed housing and residential life board rates as presented?
Mr. President, so moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Governor Barnhill, seconded by Governor Stancato. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. Next, we'll take up the fiscal year 2022 proposed school medicine program tuition rate. A motion that the Board of Governors adopt increases in the fiscal year 2022 base tuition rate of 1.9% for resident students and 0.3% for non-resident students. It's further recommended the Board of Governors adopt an increase of 1.9% in the following MD program student fees. That will be the student medical school support fee and student services fee. Detail of the current and proposed tuition and fees by program year and residency status are shown in tables 1.1 and 1.2, and in tables 2 and 3 for the school support fee and student services fee, which are in the background documents for this proposal. As part of this resolution, the Board of Governors authorize the President or his designee to adjust rates for special programs or where otherwise appropriate. And then finally, this tuition recommendation applies only to students enrolled in the school medicine MD program and is not an indication of rates for the general student body or an obligation by the Board of Governors regarding rates that will be set for the rest of the university's program. So with that, can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Mr. President.
Yes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask if we could just table this for a week or two, and the only reason why if we could make a motion to do so, to see where the other schools stand. And the reason why is, we had a 4.5% increase last year, and it was my understanding that it hurt us in recruiting Black and brown and out of state. And I was hoping we could wait another week or two just to see where the other schools stand so we know we're in line with them or not. I think it might be helpful. I don't know if it works out strategically in terms of when we need to get the bills out. And I understand that, we may have to raise, but I would feel a little more comfortable if I knew where the other schools were. I know I've put out some inquiries. Governor Land is also, and we're just trying to figure out where the other schools are. I'd just like to know how other people feel about that.
Yeah, if I could, I did talk to some of the other folks, and they haven't really done anything at the other schools yet, and they're kind of all over the board. And I have a hard time going out front. I guess that's my challenge. And even if we needed a special meeting in May just to talk about this, I'm up for that. But I just don't feel comfortable right now doing this.
We are, in terms of the data that was presented to us, aren't we still I'm getting feedback. I'm getting feedback. Are we still like lower than most schools from tuition perspective? And then the other thing, we did have an opportunity that we agreed in the meeting that we had earlier that we would that we would vote on it. I don't know. It's just my.
If everyone else could mute their mics, it would get rid of the feedback.
Yeah, can I just, I'm not sure if, is Dr. Schweitzer on this, in the meeting?
No,
Or
yes.
not?
I can talk now. What
Okay.
I was, let me
Mark-
just say what I was saying.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just thought in terms of where our tuition was, that we were lower than most of the other schools. And the other thing, we had this discussion earlier, and as a group, we agreed to move it forward here. So hearing this now is kind of like pretty surprising, and that's not what was said at the meeting that we had before when you had an opportunity to say something.
Yeah, and I would comment that the likelihood of us for in-state tuition not being the lowest in Michigan with this very, very modest increase is basically zero. And the increase for out-of-state is very, very small. So I agree that next year we should probably do this during a different week so we know what the other institutions' plans are. I think for now, this is a quite modest increase, and we're still, we're even with the increase, we're going to be $3,000 lower than another school in Michigan. So it's a statistical impossibility unless they decrease their tuition for us not to still be the lowest for in-state tuition.
Well, let me ask a procedural question, and this is a question of Lou if he's on the line. Lou, in terms of proceeding, do we need to take a motion on the amendment and see where that goes, and then if it doesn't pass, go back to the original motion, or how does that?
I'm sorry. The motion to table would precede a motion on the decision.
Right.
To another possibility you might consider would be to act subject to say, okay, we approve this effective May 15th, whatever date, unless we meet to do something else before that
Well,
time.
I think that.
Yes, the motion to
I think Governor Busuttil has made a motion basically, and it sounds like Governor Land is seconding it. I think we should go ahead and vote on the motion to table, see where that goes, and then take the remaining action item if necessary. So there's a motion to table this by Governor Busuttil that's been seconded by Governor Land.
We have a roll call vote, please.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. That because it's kind of hard with in a virtual format to see who's saying what. Let's go ahead and do a roll call. So, Julie, could you do a roll call on this, please?
Excuse me, President Wilson, can we have some discussion on the motion?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I thought that we had done that. Go ahead.
If I'm just wondering that, in light of our council's comments, Governor Busuttil, would you be willing to withdraw your motion to instead make a motion that, says that we will approve the proposed tuition rate increases to go into effect May 15th, and we can reconsider that motion if there's movement from other schools that will cause us to want to adjust. So I think, this will allow us to kind of move forward, but also gives us some room to adjust accordingly, based on your concern.
So you're saying we will reserve the right to revisit this before May 15th, pending what the other schools do? And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is I don't want to create a competitive disadvantage for our admissions committee in terms of the students we can attract here. And like I said, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm not trying to just outright oppose a tuition increase. It's just, I I just don't know the impact on our competitive advantage here. And I'd be willing to do that.
Okay, why don't we consider
so-
a motion to amend then?
So
Okay.
the question now, what's on the floor now is a motion to amend by Governor Busuttil, and I'm wondering if Governor Land is.
I'll be happy to second that. Yep.
So she, Governor Land is seconding that. And so let me see if I understand the motion clearly. The motion is to move forward with this vote, or the 1.9% and the 0.3% increase that will not go into effect until after May 15th, and the other institutions, well, some of the other institutions will have set their tuition, at which point we can revisit the tuition rate. Did I state that right?
You can revisit up to May 15th.
Okay.
I have a question about that. So to approve that motion would mean that you're approving the tuition increase?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Right. And if the motion fails, then we'll go back to the original motion, which is just a straight passing the tuition increase. So does everybody understand the motion?
Yes, I do, Mr. President. And I have a question, or just a question, comment on that motion. So it seems like, there's no consensus that we could move forward with this. However, I want us to all be on the same page in terms of what that process is going to look like. So how are we going to communicate to the board? And then how will the board be able to express whether or not we want to continue with the proposed tuition rate increase or adjust? So let's just.
I think that, Julie, you want to answer that? I think that's a kind of a process question.
So I think I'd like to just ask a question of Dean Schweitzer as to whether or not there would be any actions taken by other universities between now and May 15th, which is what I think the board wants to know is, are other actions scheduled to be taken between now and May 15th that you are aware of that? And I'm not aware.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the other roundtables.
So, I mean, I could certainly, one way to respond is that we could provide the board with information on May 14th of any actions taken by other medical schools in the state of Michigan, by other public university medical schools between now and May 14th. That would be the way to let you know whether or not any other schools have approved tuition rate for their School of Medicine.
Could we vote via phone and then ratify?
Yes, certainly.
If a majority of board members indicated they wanted to reconsider, then we can reconsider. Lou, can we not by phone and then ratify that at our next board meeting?
That's correct.
As long as it's a unanimous agreement that we would do this by phone.
I'm good with that.
Yes.
Okay, so the process has been laid out. Any other questions on this before we take the amendment to a vote?
And
okay,
given
so
the feedback, could we do a roll call? There's a lot of feedback here. I'm not certain.
Yes, Julie, we're going to do a roll call. So I want to make sure first that, there really is a lot of feedback. Does everybody have their, Lou, you want to put yours on mute, and maybe Mark? Yeah, I think it was Lou's phone. Okay, great. So, so this will be a vote on the amendment, and we'll do a roll call vote. Julie?
Governor Barnhill?
Yes.
Governor Busuttil?
Yes.
Governor Gaffney? Governor
Gaffney
Kelly?
votes yes.
Okay, thank you. Governor Kelly,
Yes.
Governor Kumar,
Yes.
Governor Land,
Yes.
Governor Stancato,
Yes.
Governor Thompson.
Yes.
Okay. So now you'd be going back to a vote on the motion as a,
No, I think that's it.
No. No, that's it.
That's
I
it.
thought you were approving the amendment first.
No,
Yeah, but that
It's
is the
it's like a
amendment had the
substitute
trade in.
motion.
Okay, substitute motion.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So I think we're clear there. Okay. Let's just move on then to Student Affairs Committee. That committee was chaired by Governor Stancato. So a brief update, if you would, please.
Sure. The Student Affairs Committee met this morning, as you said, and our agenda included 3 reports. The first was the annual report on student success from Associate Provost Monica Brockmeyer. It really has been an unusual year. I think we can all agree on that. And this year's report focused on student experiences during the pandemic, student success activities, and collaborations and outcomes. Ms. Brockmeyer shared some results from a COVID-19 student survey, which identified the high levels of stress our students are experiencing in this environment. Ms. Brockmeyer identified some of the holistic support and services the university's been providing, which include mental health days, academic stress support groups, learning communities, and online tools, just to name a few. She talked about graduation retention rates, which are up 4-, 5-, and 6-year retention rates are up 4 to 5 percentage points. And then she also talked about graduation and retention rates for students of color, which we all agree need some improvement. Next, Provost Clay will provide an update on the land acknowledgement resolution the board first heard several months ago. And Kamali Klura, who was a student, provided that update. The board reviewed a resolution passed by the Student Senate on this issue. And then finally, Student Senate President Ria Chabra gave an update on the Senate's year-long activities, programs, and successes. And I think I can speak for the entire board in congratulating the student senators for the work they've accomplished in these especially difficult times. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much to all 3 chairs. Let's move on then to the next item, which is a Title IX update, which will be presented by Brandy Banks, and I think Lou Letham is going to introduce her.
Yes, thank you, President Wilson. This is the annual Title IX review. It's been an exceptional year for the university in many respects, not least in the application of Title IX, both because of the pandemic and because of radical changes in how Title IX was interpreted and understood. Brandy has a brief presentation and then, of course, can take questions. And with that, Brandy.
All right, thank you, Lou. Hello, everyone. I'm Brandy Banks, the Title IX coordinator, and I want to thank you for inviting me to present the annual 2020 Title IX report to you today. I just need to pull up my slides here. All right, can everybody see those?
You're not up yet. Your
Nope.
slides are not
Okay.
yet.
Hang on.
There we go. You're up.
Okay. All right. So Title IX is a federal law that prohibits sex discrimination, including sexual harassment, and education programs and activities that receive federal financial assistance. And on May 6th of last year, the Department of Education, under the former White House administration, released new regulations reshaping how schools address Title IX sexual misconduct, which became effective then on August 14th, 2020. Consistent with these new regulations, Wayne State implemented the interim Title IX sexual misconduct policy and procedures, which also went into effect on August 14th of 2020. Among the key responsibilities of the Title IX office are campus education and awareness, Title IX training, providing supportive measures, and responding to reported incidents. One of the principal ways we inform the community about Title IX is with our website, available online at title9.wayne.edu. Anyone can report an incident directly to our office for follow-up and investigation using the Report an Incident button on our landing page. Our website also features quick access points to our student and employee learning modules. And if you'd like to learn more about Title IX and the work of our office following this presentation, I invite you to click on the gold Title IX training button on our website to complete our virtual employee training. One of the most important responsibilities of our office is training, and we provide training to our students, our faculty, and our staff. Our most popular training, 9 Things You Need to Know About Title IX for Students, is offered at the beginning of each semester, as well as upon request. We provide a similar training for employees and departments upon request, called 9 Things You Need to Know About Title IX, Responsible Employee Edition. These virtual sessions are provided by the Title IX office directly, allowing the office to connect with students and employees and to answer any questions they may have about Title IX, institutional policy, available services, etc. In addition to our live trainings, we've also continued providing our student and employee virtual learning modules, which deliver a wealth of information and a means to self-reflect on the role that each of us plays in cultivating a culture of respect at Wayne. Both modules can be accessed 24 hours a day through Academica and on our Title IX website. My office also engages in a number of campus awareness and prevention activities, one of which was the Love Shouldn't Hurt campaign. This was a collaborative effort by the Campus Health Center, Counseling and Psychological Services, the Dean of Students Office, and the Title IX office to increase knowledge about healthy relationships, signs of abuse, and the resources available for individuals impacted by dating or domestic violence. The purple flyer listing some of the warning signs of abusive relationships was provided for posting and distribution by various units across campus. By scanning the QR code, students and employees are connected with various tips and resources. The smaller green stickers, shown on the right, were placed on the inside of hundreds of restroom stall doors across campus. The stickers contain different messages such as, does your partner control who you see, where you go, or what you do? And does your partner ignore your feelings or boundaries? Similar to the purple flyer, the stickers include QR codes for connecting with resources both on campus and within the greater community. Next, I'd like to briefly discuss another campus awareness program planned in partnership with our Dean of Students Office for Orientation Part 2 called Speak About It. This interactive program, held via Zoom at the start of the fall semester, provided our students the opportunity to have a candid campus conversation about sexual communication and learn practical approaches for preventing sexual assault. Speak About It's trained educators combined humor and humanity to educate our warriors about consent, boundaries, and healthy relationships while treating the issue of sexual violence with the weight and sensitivity it deserves. Ongoing training is necessary to equip our administrators with the skills and best practices for addressing incidents reported to the university. Among our 2020 training activities was our 2-day intensive Title IX regulations training provided by Rebecca Lightman-Beindlinger, a former sex crimes prosecutor and Title IX investigator who provides expert services to Wayne State and other universities across the U.S. In addition to myself and our volunteer deputy Title IX coordinators, training participants included administrators and representatives from the Office of Equal Opportunity, the Office of the General Counsel, the Dean of Students Office, the Office of the Provost, Athletics, and Residence Life. And I'm also happy to report that 135 School of Medicine administrators joined us for this professional development opportunity. Sufficient training is critical for individuals with key responsibilities in our resolution procedures. As such, this training focused on the necessary actions to take when a claim is received, how to investigate a claim, and the procedures for conducting a formal hearing under the new regulations. Our Title IX team also participated in a number of supplementary trainings throughout the year, including training on working with reluctant witnesses, challenging investigations, and navigating electronic evidence. In addition to any investigation, when a sexual harassment report is made to the Title IX office, we offer supportive measures. Supportive measures are individualized services designed to protect the safety of all parties and Wayne State's educational environment and to deter sexual misconduct. They restore or preserve access to a party's education without unreasonably burdening either party. Some examples are referrals for counseling services, no contact directives, modification to on-campus housing or employment, and academic support, referrals, and assistance. Supportive measures are offered upon request, irrespective of jurisdictional limitations and regardless of whether or not a formal complaint is filed. Now I'd like to discuss the matters that were reported to the Title IX office in 2020. While we had 53 reported incidents that my office responded to, no formal complaints were filed. Similar to Wayne State, universities across the state and nation have also experienced a significant decline in reporting numbers and formal complaints. Aside from probable reporting implications brought about by the pandemic, experts in the field speculate that these downward trends may also be attributable to some of the changes under the new regulations. Nevertheless, we do offer supportive measures to every claimant that connects with our office. So 32% of the matters reported to the Title IX office in 2020 were dismissed because they did not meet the jurisdictional requirements for Title IX complaints under the new regulations. For instance, the alleged incident didn't occur in the United States, or it didn't occur within the university's education program or activity, or the respondent was not affiliated with the university at all. 24% of reported matters were dismissed because the allegations, even if true, would not constitute a policy violation. So for example, the reported misconduct did not meet the definition of sexual harassment under the new Title IX regs and our Title IX policy. For 25% of the reported matters, the claimant declined to participate or did not respond to multiple outreach attempts by the Title IX office. And 19% of reported matters were dismissed because there was insufficient information to pursue the claim. For example, the incident was reported anonymously, or the identity of the respondent was unknown, or the claimant declined to disclose the respondent's identity to the university. This chart depicts the actual numbers of each type of incident as reported and also where they occurred. I'd first like to direct your attention to the incident categories with the highest number of reported incidents. Sexual harassment had the highest number of reported on-campus incidents with 9, followed by dating and domestic violence with 7. With respect to off-campus incidents, once again, sexual harassment had the highest number of reported incidents with 10, followed by non-consensual sexual penetration with 3. I now want to turn your attention back to the on-campus incidents. With respect to the 2 non-consensual sexual contact incidents, the claimant declined to participate in the administrative investigation process for 1 reported matter, and in the other incident, the respondent was not affiliated with the university, but was banned from entering our residence halls. With respect to the 4 reported incidents of non-consensual sexual penetration, the respondent was not affiliated with the university in 2 of the matters, but again, we banned both respondents from our residence halls, and the claimants in the other 2 matters declined to participate in the process. Here again, we offered support resources to every claimant, regardless of any constraints on our ability to investigate. And I'd also like to note here that our office reports information related to any allegations of criminal sexual conduct directly to law enforcement. So what's next? Wayne State and other universities are anticipating further changes to the Title IX regulations. While we expect announcements to be made in the coming year, we are uncertain as to what the changes will entail and when they'll become effective. However, we are confident that the changes will require significant modifications to our policy. We also have some fresh ideas for connecting with our students in the coming academic year. We'll be inviting members of our student body to help us create 30-second videos for sharing via social media and university web pages on topics such as how to talk about consent with a new partner and how to help a friend that's being harassed. And in the fall, we'd like to sponsor a student competition soliciting proposals for innovative assault prevention and safety awareness campaigns. Submitted proposals will be reviewed by a panel of judges for resource consideration and funding out of our Title IX budget. As illustrated by the YouTube screen grabs on this slide, organizations like Think Tank and the National Sexual Violence Resource Center connect with their community following in meaningful ways in order to prevent sexual violence from happening within their respective communities. Similarly, we believe that student-led initiatives are key to moving beyond compliance and creating lasting change at Wayne State University. This concludes our presentation, and I'd now like to welcome your comments, questions, and ideas.
Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Brandy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on then to the informational reports. I'll call on the appropriate cabinet member to either update or provide highlights from the report. First, Provost Clabo, you have anything to add from the Academic Affairs report?
I have nothing to add to my written report.
Okay. Vice President Lanier?
I have nothing to add. You do have 2 items.
You want to just go over what they are real quick so that provide a highlight or 2?
I think you have 2 university contracts.
No, I'm talking about the, oh, okay. I was really talking about your court,
No, sir, I'm sorry. I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you. So then we'll move on then to a couple of action items. The first is a motion that the Board of Governors authorizes the president or his designee to contract with Motivation Incorporated to exclusively license for commercialization of the intellectual property encompassing the technologies collectively entitled infrared light for therapeutic intervention and ischemic reperfusion and inflammatory injury. This will require a motion and a second and then a roll call vote. Could I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Okay. Motion by, I think that was Governor Barnhill. And I think I saw Governor Busuttil raise his hand, so we'll consider that a second. And if you can do a roll call vote.
Yes. Governor Barnhill?
Yes.
Governor Busuttil?
Yes.
Governor Gaffney?
Yes.
Governor Kelly?
Yes.
Governor Kumar?
Yes.
Governor Land?
Yes.
Governor Stancato?
Yes.
And Governor Thompson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And this next one will also require a roll call vote, but this is, I'm requesting a motion that the Board of Governors authorizes the president or his designee to contract with Ray Therapeutics Incorporated to enter into an option for an exclusive license for the commercialization of the intellectual property related to optogenetic therapeutics for vision restoration. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I think I heard 2 people there. Julie,
Okay,
did you catch
Governor-
that?
Governor Kelly for the motion and Governor Land for the second.
Okay, great. In a roll call vote, please.
Governor Barnhill?
Yes.
Governor Busuttil?
Yes.
Governor Gaffney? I'll move on to.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Governor Kelly?
Gaffney's a yes.
Yes, I got that. Thank you. Governor Kelly?
Yes.
Governor Kumar?
Yes.
Governor Land?
Yes.
Governor Stancato?
Yes.
Governor Thompson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next involves a university subcontract with an outside organization in which a Wayne State employee participates. I'm requesting a motion that the Board of Governors authorizes the president or his designee to enter into a sub-award contract with Health Centers Detroit Foundation, Inc., related to the Michigan Area Health Education Centers cooperative agreement held by Wayne State University School of Medicine. The sub-award contract will be for Health Centers Detroit Foundation, Inc., to provide host partner services for Michigan, the Area Health Education Center, often called AHEC, Southeast Regional Center located in Detroit. First, a motion.
So moved.
Motion, I think I saw Governor Basuito, and who was second?
Governor Gaffney.
Okay, Governor Gaffney seconded. Roll call, please.
Governor Barnhill.
Yes.
Governor Basuito.
Yes.
Governor Gaffney.
Gaffney is a yes.
Governor Kelly.
Yes.
Governor Kumar.
Yes.
Governor Land.
Yes.
Governor Stancato.
Yes.
Governor Thompson.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move forward then with Government and Community Affairs report with Vice President Lindsay.
Good afternoon, President and members of the board. You have a report that was filed. Since that time, just want to update you on very briefly the House and Senate higher ed budget proposals. The governor, of course, did a 2% one-time allocation to higher education at about $29.2 million, with Wayne State getting a one-time increase of a little over $4 million and a tuition cap at 4.2. The Senate brought their budget in next. It essentially is a flat budget. The difference being that they would like to reinstate performance metrics. They also have a 4.2 tuition cap. Under this proposal, we essentially would be flat. I think it's $2,000 that would be added to our increase in FY20, $2,500, excuse me. And then the House, they also presented a budget which it really is a 0% increase, but their budget redistributes money from their current allocations, and in particular, all the Tier 1 research schools lose significant funding under this proposal, particularly as they phase in what's called a fiscal year equated student model. Under this proposal, Wayne State would lose approximately $11 million in funding for the coming year, and this one does not have any tuition restraint. And as you might know, we will be vigorously advocating against that proposal. But that's our update, and nothing else in my report. The only other thing I will say is we do have a new incoming director of community affairs, Ms. Stacy Clayton, who will be starting in May 17th.
Great. Thank you. Economic Development Report with Vice President Stabler.
I have nothing further to add.
Okay. Development and Alumni Affairs Report from Vice President Burns. Susan, are you talking?
Yeah, I was muted. I'm sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone. Since February, the date of the reports included in your materials, fundraising production has improved, and we've surpassed fiscal 20 results year to date through March by over 11%. At that time, we were halfway through fiscal 21, and we are at 50% of our goal as well. We expect to end April on track as well. The numbers continue to look good. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Governor Land, who has been appointed to serve on the foundation board as a part of her role with the board. And she is taking her role as a director very seriously, making her first gift at the level suggested in our bylaws, a contribution of $100,000. Thank you, Governor Land.
You're quite welcome. And I'm very proud of your group and committee and look forward to working with you. And as someone who's done a little fundraising, you have to give first before you can ask. So now I'm going to ask everybody on the board to participate. There you go, Susan.
We look forward to putting you to work. Thank you. A past member of our Board of Governors is also helping us raise support. Governor Emeritus Michael Einhauser recently facilitated a $1 million gift to the School of Medicine, which is included in the recommendation for the establishment of a new endowment fund today. He asked to address the board at the meeting when this endowment would be established, so he is here with us today. For those of you who do not know Michael, he is a proud Wayne State alum. Shortly after graduating, he became the youngest person to serve on Wayne State's Board of Governors, serving 2 terms from 1975 to 1991. He continues to support Wayne State through the gifts of both time and treasure. He is currently the chair of the Irvin D. Reed Honors College Board of Visitors, and he is also in the process of making a gift to establish an endowed fund that will add to the impact of the Endowed Scholarship Fund created in his honor at the end of his service as governor. Please join me in welcoming Governor Emeritus Michael Einhauser.
Well, thank you very much. I assume I'm unmuted, and I'm just going to take a minute and a half of your time. I've been listening to the meeting in the background, having all sorts of deja vu. Not much has changed in 30 years since I stepped down from the board. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Corinne Resta, who is the donor of this gift. When you think about a $1 million donor, Corinne will not come to mind. She spent her career in the medical school as a laboratory and a research assistant. And she was one of those people who lived by herself, had no children, saved absolutely all the money she had. We came in contact with Corinne as her estate planning attorneys. And typically when you plan an estate, you write the will, you trust, you sign it, and people go their separate ways. But Corinne was one of those clients that we stayed in contact with throughout her life. And we realized, oddly for attorneys, we were the only people in her life. And toward the end, we ended up taking over the paying of her bills and selecting a nursing home. She was very frugal. And I remember saying to my legal assistant when we put her into memory care, if Corinne ever knew how much we're spending each month, she would be very, very angry. Well, she received excellent care at the end of her life, and fortunately, there's enough left over for Wayne State University, and she wanted to see that it went to the medical school and was very, very specific that it be used to support scholarships for students. And we've worked out a very good memorandum of understanding with Vice President Burns' office, and so I'm just very happy to Corinne is not somebody who's ever been acknowledged in public, and so I wanted to do it today.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your role in this, and it's always nice to see you again. So thank you very much, Governor Einhauser. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, President.
You give us a great example of what board members should do once they're off the board, Mike. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you named me Governor Emeritus, and I guess that's a lifelong title.
That's right.
That is absolutely right. Yep.
You can't grow out of it. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I also want to
so
say
we have-
thank you. Hello, Mike. And I really appreciate you for sharing that story. For me, it put a face to the people who support our university and made me even more determined to do my part in making sure that their wishes are fulfilled and that we are able to succeed in our mission. So thank you.
Yeah, and as the Dean of the School of Medicine, I want to express my sincere thanks. It's a touching story.
Yeah, you're very welcome, although it's not from me. I get to be the very happy messenger this time.
Thank you. Okay, so we have some action items. The first is a motion that the Board of Governors establish endowment funds that total $1,600,229.74 for the purposes presented. So may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Governor Thompson, I think, and
Support.
By Governor Land.
okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. We'll go then to another action item. This is a repurposing of an endowment fund. I need a motion that the Board of Governors repurpose the endowed fund known as the Mildred Jeffrey Endowed Internship for Social Justice in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences to the Mildred Jeffrey Math Corps Endowed Support Fund. May I please have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Support.
I'd just like to say Mildred Jeffrey was a graduate, I think, of our School of Social Work and has given back to our university over the years. Would you tell us, Vice President Burns, why we are repurposing this fund?
This was a fund that was set up by members of her family, and Millie had been very supportive of Math Corps, and they want to continue to raise money for that purpose. So they wanted to change the current fund so they could add to it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And then now we come to that moment of the agenda where we'll take public comment. The secretary has received 3 requests from members of the community to address the board. These individuals will be joining the board in audio format. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to present their statements and will receive a 1-minute warning from the secretary to let them know that their time is almost up. And I'll call on Gary Morris first. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope you can hear me okay. I just want to first thank you for your leadership in navigating our university throughout this pandemic. I also want to appreciate you, governors, for all your dedication and great work, your hard work. Although we're all remote, and this is the first time that I'm coming before you, I'd like to start by introducing myself. As President Wilson said, my name is Gary Morris. I've been with the university for 22 years, working in the Computing and Information Technology Division. I'm also president of the Professional and Administrative Local 1979, which has been in existence for 45 years here at Wayne State. I'm also chair of the coalition of unions, which service 19 unions on campus. As a leader, I make sure that I lead by collaboration and communication. I see great opportunities on the horizon for Wayne State University, and we consider ourselves part of that and part of the Wayne State family. I know that I sent in a letter to each and every one of you concerning the CNIT layoffs, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. But what I do want to say, I want to mention a quote from Andrew Carnegie. He said, "Coming together is a new beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." Our labor force has contributed mightily to the success of this university. My members take their job very seriously, providing exceptional work effort based on their skills, experience, expertise, and education. They provide the best technologies and service to our customers, which is our students, faculty, staff, and that's priority 1 for us. Respectfully, I came today to introduce myself and continue to collaborate with you. I'd like to invite all of you on the board and President Wilson to one of our labor union meetings. I will be forwarding that schedule after the meeting. In closing, what I'd like to say is people fail. This is a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King. People fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other. Thank you, and I look forward to meeting all of you once the pandemic is over. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morris, and appreciate your service and everything you do. Next is Kelly Gottesman.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Governor Kelly, for allowing me to speak. today's meeting. I'd also like to thank the Board of Governors for their tireless work, especially during these extraordinary times. My name is Kelly Gottesman. I've been part of the campus community for 20 plus years, teaching, supporting technology that enhances our pedagogy. For the past 13 years, I've been in a multimedia position within the Department of Communication, as well as part-time faculty. I've been asked not to address the subject matter of the pending grievances related to the CNIT consolidation, which are to be resolved by the collective bargaining administration. My request is prompted by some questions and concerns I have regarding the consolidation. I don't expect these to be addressed at the meeting, but do hope to put this on your radar if they're not already, and hopefully to have some resolve as we move forward. I'm going to echo our brother Morris's sentiments a bit here. One is I just question the urgency of why flipping the switch when there was a proposed multi-year phased approach to this whole consolidation, which kind of flipped on November 2nd. We're still navigating a pandemic, right? Many of us on the campus community are considered critical infrastructure, as myself, and have been continuing to provide quality instruction, support, and overseeing stringent health and safety regimens for those still working on campus and holding approved in-person instruction when permitted. We haven't vacated our posts. The disruption to our IT personnel has invited additional turbulence into an already tumultuous year. This has been quite grappling moment for all of us, not only at the teaching level of support, but the IT level of support specifically. What happened to the collaborative sessions that the school and college and IT employees to gain better understanding for specific ITs? There was no real meeting of the minds there. This was supposed to stabilize our finances as mandated by President Wilson. I don't understand how this is actually saving money. Can you explain that at some point? And how is it going to create a consistent level of support across all of our different units and divisions? To my understanding, there was never a real analysis performed. Did the Board of Governors actually and the shareholders approve this consolidation? I'm not aware of that. Why did we see a plan with a timeline before action was taken? Why didn't we see that? Essential personnel in my college, which is CFPCA, the business school, law school, and others have been moved out of their respective colleges into general CNIT pool or laid off completely, with the staff positions eliminating, even in housing and others. In our college, we were hit hard. All my colleagues and my IT support are gone, and they've been replaced by others who are just filling the seats without that specialized knowledge. We're not seeing the disruption now, but I tell you what, in fall we will. I appreciate your time, and I hope that we can, again, come to some kind of resolve. And this is on your guys' radar to discuss and drill down and find some equitable solution to this. Thank you again for your time.
President Wilson, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. The final speaker is Desmond Wright Glenn.
Good afternoon, President Wilson and governors. I would first like to thank you all for the opportunity to come before you and for the incalculable opportunities that Wayne State provided me as a student. We currently find ourselves in an unprecedented time with uncalculated number of workers displaced. This includes numbers of Wayne State students. Ithaca S&R recently estimated in a research report that 6.6 million students are affected by policies known as stranded credits. I myself was a victim of such policies. This report also estimated that the majority of these students are low income, adult learners, and students of racial and ethnic minorities. This sounds to me like a vast majority of the students that come to Wayne State. Now, this is not to say that Wayne State has not made movement in this effort, in this regard. I would like to commend you on the Warrior Way Back program, which this report specifically mentions as one of the hallmark programs in the country. That is absolutely commendable, but I have to say, I would encourage you to go further. because there are so many students that are being hamstrung and stymied by such policies. And I truly believe that Wayne State has a immeasurable opportunity to alleviate a burden in the lives of so many.
1 minute.
And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reichland. Well, that's all the public comments. So we're at the end of the meeting. If there's no further business, I'm going to adjourn the meeting and wish you all a nice weekend. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everyone.